Okay, I think you're good to go.
All right, turn on the mics there. Good evening and welcome to the June 14th Cargill Utilities District meeting. First item on the agenda, approved minutes of the May 16th, 2023 monthly meeting.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Approved. Number 2, approve the budget and financial reports for May 2023. Any questions or anything from anyone on the reports?
So moved.
I'm sorry. Did you move?
Moved it.
Right.
No questions, huh? Ray, nothing?
Yep, I did.
No.
Sorry.
No, it's okay, we can have a discussion, right? On water division, line item, I don't have my glasses, so I'm gonna be in trouble. 650.6, equipment maintenance,
Yes,
we're at 83%.
that's true, we are.
Anything to be concerned about, or?
A lot of the vehicles, and I have no itemized figures with me tonight, but we are up there.
A big chunk of that was money that we had put in that item to rebuild the back end of the vac truck, and that was all done like in February. So
That was like
I think
95.
that's the majority of it.
Okay.
Anything else? We have a motion. Do we have a second? Or
A second.
all those in favor? Vote to renew the $200,000 line of credit with the CUD Trust Company, which matures on June the 30th. This is the one we just extended, right?
No, it isn't. At the last meeting, it was Machias Savings,
Oh, yes.
and right
Sorry.
after our last meeting, Greg Staples notified me that our new one would be, for Catardon, would be also at the end of June. And I believe Dave, Martin, and Gary, you went in and extended it for
Yep.
the 30 days. And now they need a vote to extend it for another year to June 2024.
Does that mean we have to go down and sign again?
No, you don't, but I have a lot of documents right here. I'll catch you on the way out.
We just did that one with Machias, right?
That was last month.
And those were a result of the pandemic, correct?
True.
So, we got one, I think, which should be sufficient, and if something would happen later in the future, we can always do it again. Just less bookkeeping.
We don't mind the bookkeeping.
In fact, there's actually no bookkeeping.
I just,
Yeah, I mean, I don't have any thoughts one way or another.
What would the downside be of having it? Is, if it's not costing us anything, correct?
No, it isn't. Not unless we're going to be using it. And
Right.
the way I feel, you never know when we might need something or a large item, and it would be available.
Yeah, anyone have a motion? I mean, if there's no cost to it.
I'll move to approve.
Second.
All those in favor? General Manager's report.
Okay. Like I've given everyone a copy. Water projects, the high service area booster pump station upgrade project. Apex, which is our general contractor, has provided Dirigo a draft schedule with an August start date at the South Main Low Service Tank site. The South Main Low Service Tank site will likely be completed this year, and the North Main Low Service Tank site will be started and completed next spring. No change in the tank painting or the river crossing projects. 35 York Street, no change in status on that. Probably not going to see any change next month either. Primary screen and headworks. The small treatment plant in New Hampshire, which operates the exact same Huber primary screen. We have had a meeting last week to discuss what to do with their existing equipment. We are working with the Huber vendor at the seller's request to establish a price for their obsolete wash press. This will allow our primary screen to go back to operating as designed, as it has since the early 2000s. A new primary screen needs to be included in the next wastewater project, which will allow the current Huber screen to operate as a backup. And what I did for this month, on the back side, I included a picture of what our current Huber screen looks like. That's the lower left-hand corner. And you can actually see the square plate of the wash press, the picture above. They're kind of halfway up on the right side of the step screen. That's the assembly we're trying to get we're going to try to buy from this small wastewater plant. On the right side is the Rotomat screen, which is kind of the next generation screening equipment that we'd be including in our next project.
Is that what they're going to down there, that they're taking theirs out?
So what they're doing, Gary, is they've got the same one we have, and they're going to take their step screen out and replace it with this Rotomat. We have, the way our headworks are configured, we can keep our existing screen, and put the new Rotomat in a different channel, which will allow us to operate either way.
And become the primary and the other one be backup.
Right.
Okay.
Right. So right now, our step screen is the primary, and our backup is a manual bar screen, which nobody's a fan of.
Do we
Is
have
it-
a
is
cost
it-
on it?
What's that?
Do we have a cost on it yet?
We don't. We don't.
Do you have an estimate? I mean, what are we talking about, 10,000, 20,000?
We're not sure. I'd rather
Okay.
talk offline about pricing.
Is there much degradation in with the one that's broke down versus what you're doing now? It's a filtration system, right?
Well, what this assembly does is it takes all the screenings, all the non-soluble material that gets screened out, and it basically runs it through a stainless steel screw press, and it just kind of wrings the water out of it, and then deposits it in a bagging system.
So, still doing what it's supposed to be doing?
It's doing what it's supposed to be doing right now, but it leaks water, and one of the bearings is not in good shape.
Okay,
And it's,
all right.
as you can see in the picture, theirs is in tip-top shape, which would allow us to plug and play it into our screen system. Did somebody else have another question? So, hopefully by our next meeting, we'll have an idea what price we're looking at. Other issues, CD renewals. TD Bank is offering a municipal 6-month CD at 5.39%, or 12-month CD at 5.2%. Sue is moving $60,000 from a water contingency account and $105,000 from a wastewater CD, which is coming due June 22nd, into these new CDs respectively. And I think she provided you guys kind of a
Yeah.
list of what the different banks around town are offering.
And if you notice, excuse me, under the TD, I have changed the figures for the interest because the branch here in Caribou gave me those figures for a business CD, and the Portland office called today, and they said that they have government rates, and we would qualify for that because of the municipality, and that's why they are increased.
Any questions on the CDs?
Nope.
I need to vote.
Question.
Excuse me.
The money that we had put into broadband, transferred to the broadband, that 200,000, where is that now? Is that just in the bank, or is that in a CD? or-
It's in a money market at the Mercy Federal Savings and Loan, and we are getting interest on that monthly.
What's the interest rate on it?
I haven't got my papers with me, Gary. I'm sorry. If I was at the
Okay.
office, I would have that.
Verizon / North Main High Service tank lease, no update on that. An LK water cooler bottle filler has been received. It's in our office for the library and will be installed by Mark Wagner on Friday. Last year, we had discussions with a woodcutter regarding harvesting black spruce and poplar trees on 2 parcels on the River Road, map 11, lots 60A and 67, as well as the non-tillable portion of the Lion Farm on the Grimes Road, that's map 12, lot 5. The woodcutter has an opening in their schedule to harvest the 3 lots in late July. Harvesting timber from CUD-owned property represents sound land management and provides additional income which does not have to be generated through rates. The revenue generated from this would be deposited in the asset replacement reserve accounts for the respective divisions. And then lastly, Gary.
Question.
Sure.
Do we have has a forester looked at that to make, I mean, this woodcutter just goes in, cuts whatever you want, or is it, you know what I mean? Is there a plan?
The two, for these 3 lots, it's really just to cut those 2 species of trees, because that's, like, especially the 1 lot on the River Road, it's pretty much only black spruce.
Oh, so you're clear cutting it?
Yeah. I mean, anything over a certain size.
I think
I mean,
I
do we-
think I know what Dave is talking about. It, you know, there's
Timber Growth Management Program.
Yeah. Where they go in and make recommendations on what you cut and what you don't, and I don't know what all the background of that is, or the whys, or the wherefores, or anything else, but does the city own some property that we had cut too at one time?
Thought we had some by the old landfill, but I don't know,
They hauled some out of the old dump area,
yeah.
couple, well, no, I don't dare say how long ago, but out there.
And I don't even know who to
Some
talk to,
out
who to
at
contact.
the North Caribou Park area, and I think it was, and I think that was selectively done,
It's what had blown over.
Blown over.
Yeah.
It's a mess out there.
yeah. But some of the, he cleaned up some of the other, that were giant, so it's not, can't
You
cut.
can get a forester, but it costs money.
I was just going to say,
It's like anything else.
pretty big,
But, I
I'm
mean,
sure.
is this land on a hill? I mean, is it, I'm thinking erosion. I don't know. Is black spruce, do we want that growing there? Or do you want to eradicate it, or what's the deal?
The idea is that it has value if it's harvested, and
Well, could you just make sure that you take decent size and leave some, and you,
I don't know what the cost is to have a forester look at it.
I just had some caught, and I didn't get a forester to do it, it's just my own experience.
Yeah,
But my experience with the woodcutter was that he had to file a forestry management plan with the state and post it when it was caught. And they had the right to come in and investigate and check. And what they did is after he cut, they came in and scaled everything that was cut to verify what he paid me was what was there. right?
So
So
could
like
you-
he didn't pay me for half the wood.
yeah.
we can,
scenario.
can you check that this, I don't know if it's the same woodcutter, but,
I believe it is.
Yep.
I believe
They,
it
they
is.
have to anyway, it comes to the city,
Yeah.
like we get a copy of that.
Right.
All right.
Emailed to us.
as long as it's done correctly,
And
no
he has,
problem.
you know, he had rules, because some of my property runs down near the river, and he couldn't be within so many feet of the river or the highway, or there was rules that he had to abide by that were determined by the state. I didn't get too deep in it, but I do know that there was some,
Yeah.
it wasn't a free-for-all.
It's like 250 feet from the from the waterway, depending on the size, and so far from the highway.
Right.
Yeah,
And my biggest thing was he came in to cut stuff that had gotten big, some that had blown down because it was gonna blow down and be totally wasted. You know, it wasn't, had no value at that point.
Yeah, I'm good.
All right. You're done then? You're,
Yeah,
okay.
take it away.
I want to talk a little bit about the fiber project as to where we're at, what we're going to do. Are we going to carry on? Are we going to just forget about it? And before we make that decision, I think there's a number of things we have to determine here. One of them being I don't know how much time you think you've got to spend on this. I mean, if you don't have any time to spend on it, there's not much sense even thinking about it anymore, so.
I guess I don't understand.
Well, there's a lot of work that's gonna have to be done if we're gonna carry on with it.
Yep.
And I mean, other than you, I don't know who would be doing that. There's no one else from the public utilities that has been involved with it, is there?
No, that's been the plan all along, that
Yeah.
I'd be the one to execute it.
Yeah.
And that's why we had our charter changed in Augusta to take the project on.
Yeah. Well, that's one of the questions I have. The other question is whether the board, how much time the board thinks that they should let you do this and work with it to see if there's anything more to it. And when I say see anything more to it, first of all, I think we have to redefine what the project should be. Myself, if I was going to be in favor of it and go into it, I would not want to do rural Caribou now. I mean, that's $1.5 million to service, whether it's 300 or 400, I don't know. But the cost per place is just way out of line with the core area of Caribou. You take $1.5 million off the project, I don't know where that leaves the project if we wanted to just do it in the core community here. And if that makes it more feasible or not. The other big thing is, how do we determine how many people we could get to switch over, in my mind, if we did this project? And how are we going to determine that? You know, it's hard to find other places where somebody was in and had control of the whole area and somebody else decided to come in and build a project, to what kind of a response they got. And, you know, if we're just talking the core area, I mean, we have a mailing to every one of those people every month here. If we could include even a prepaid postage reply back, just with the question, if high-speed internet was available through us at no increased cost from what it is now, would you be willing to support us? Something to that effect.
Could I say something, Gary?
Yes, go ahead. So-
We had the opportunity, we could have done that, but this project, as far as I'm concerned, was kind of put on halt and nothing further to be done with it. Because yes, we do monthly billings and that would be a great chance for us to do it.
I mean,
But we
this
were told
project
not
has
to
been
do
going
anything
on
with
for a
it.
couple of years. To me, that would have been a real way to determine how much support is there out there. Because right now, you just have, you have me, for instance, who says, I'm satisfied with what I've got. And that's because I have all three. I have my phone, I have my internet, and I have cable TV. Some people may not be interested in all three, and I don't know whether we'll get any new companies that will supply all three or not. Maybe we will, maybe we won't. And then there's other people that are, and we have one sitting there who isn't happy at all with what he's got today and would probably change as soon as it was available. Well, the big question is, how many are like me? How many are like him? I think eventually the cost is gonna be about the same with both of them. It is now, if you're looking, across the state here. Pioneer basically charges the same as Spectrum does, so they both have that deal to try to get you in for the first 12 months where they offer you a reduced rate. But once you get off the reduced rates, they're pretty close. They're within probably $6-8 for each other. So I'd like to know how many people there is a possibility of getting. And of course, if we did it, boys, it'd have to be done right, because if there's problems with it, we'd lose them right away and we'll never get them back. So that would be a big part of that. The other thing is, where is the money going to come to do it? And, there's a possibility of grants. There's a possibility that they change the grant guidelines. We can get money through there. But I really feel, unless we can get some private investment, I don't know. I mean, to put all the risk on the ratepayers, if we're talking, and I don't know what we're talking now, what are we talking, 4.5, 5 million? If we didn't do rural Caribou and just did the core?
Why would you want to directly compete with the two incumbents that are here? Where every customer you would have to convince to switch. That wouldn't make any sense to do that.
Well, how would you get customers?
You wouldn't compete directly one-to-one for every customer with two incumbents. You would
What do you
build-
mean by two incumbents?
You've got Spectrum and you've
Yeah.
got Consolidated.
Okay. Well, Consolidated, I can't get Consolidated now, here.
I don't know that you can't. I think anywhere inside the compact area you can get both.
Why don't you have Consolidated? You've been harping for, ever since I've been involved with this, that Spectrum's no good. Switch it over tomorrow.
The fastest the highest,
Gary, and I'll let you know what I find out.
the highest speed you can get with Consolidated is 25 megabits and 3 up.
I have consolidated at the lake because there's no other choice.
That's even pitiful up there, isn't it?
I have it at the camp at the lake.
Do you get the full 15 or 3?
Yeah, you could almost run faster.
Yeah.
But yeah. But I've-
That's what Consolidated has to offer, and the last time I talked to them, is that they are putting in fiber, but not up here for a long time.
Yeah, I think everything right now on consolidated is all based on copper.
No, they're putting in fiber down the southern part of the state.
But we're talking about here.
Yeah, but you know they got fiber going into their building, so there's a foothold right there. They can start coming out if they want. And the other thing is, in respect to that, is that the current project that's out there is gonna cover the whole city. And probably within 2 years, they're gonna be right up to the high speed, 1,000 ups and downs and so on and so forth.
Which project is that?
The Spectrum one.
There's still a debate whether they're gonna cover everybody, right?
Well, the last thing I read, that yes, they are, okay? So that's all I got to go on.
Right.
So, that's all.
Yeah, they had the deal too, that by the end of, what is it, 25? they said?
25, yeah.
They're gonna have 1,000 up and down, I guess, within the whole area here. But like I say, I'm trying to decide what, in my mind, we should do, because I don't know. And I have things that that are definitely there, that are gonna make a difference one way or another. And one is, I don't want the ratepayers to get hung out to dry in this deal and have to pay more for water and sewer, because lost a lot of money with the broadband. And part of the answer to me is whether we can get private investors. And, if we can show that we can get a bunch of the customers that are here today to change over, and put some numbers to that, and look at what the cost is now, which will be a lot less because we don't service the rural area, maybe the numbers will make sense to some private investors that might want to get involved. I don't know. But until we do some of those things, we're not going to know. And without knowing all of this stuff, I can't just sit here and say, yeah, I think we should, or no, I don't think we should. So what's the answer? What do you think?
I think it's up to you.
But I'm asking you, you're the manager of the business, you're the one that's been involved in this broadband, so I'm asking your opinion. What should we be doing? Should we be going ahead with this broadband project or not?
My opinion is, Gary, it's up to you. You're in charge. It's not up to me.
So you have no opinion?
We had a plan, we had a way forward, money was taken away, so.
Listen, this money was taken away, Dio. You laid that on me once before.
Sure.
I want to make sure that you understand, this money was apparently offered to the CUD. The CUD board that was there at the time, which I wasn't, all said they weren't going to accept the money from the hospital. So don't lay it on me that I just made that and confirmed that with this board and it was voted on. So my question is, what was the idea of you and the board? Were you going to just wait and then try to get the money later and say, look, you promised, we have the thing? Is that the way we were going to do business? I don't know.
I feel like you're picking scabs here,
Yep.
quite frankly. And I'm kind of resenting where you're going with this. And I'll leave it at that.
Well, I just...
Gary? I'll leave it at
Like I
that.
say, this had nothing to do with me. If you would have accepted, if you were going ahead with this thing and would have accepted that from the hospital, fine. But you just didn't.
This board voted
Yes. they did.
against accepting it.
When I was here, yes.
The
It
other
was
board
offered.
didn't.
Huh?
The previous board didn't.
No, I know. Why didn't they?
Because up until this board voted to not accept it, that money was available to the
So-
CUD to start the project.
What I read in the paper, that when the board members were interviewed by the reporter and said, no, we're not accepting that, that wasn't true? They didn't say they weren't going to accept
The
it?
previous board did not say we were not accepting that money.
They didn't.
That was the reporter's interpretation at that
Oh,
meeting.
okay, well, if that's the case, I apologize, because I thought that the previous board had said they weren't accepting the money. Why didn't you get it then? Why didn't it happen? Because they didn't vote to accept it either? They didn't vote not to accept it, but they didn't vote to accept it?
You're asking why did the money not end up here?
Yeah.
So you didn't follow any of what the city council said about it, what the hospital said about it?
But what's that got to do if it was offered to you? All the board had to do was accept it, wasn't it?
What are you trying to say?
I'm saying that, you're saying that the previous board didn't not accept this money, but they didn't accept it either. Why didn't they accept it when it was offered then?
I think that
Because
fell
of
back,
the-
I think that fell back on the Caribou Hospital District Board. Because when we voted on that, then that turned everybody on its ear, and the city council got upset, the hospital got upset, they wanted to challenge the legality of it, they drug me out onto the paper and said that I had a conflict of interest, so everybody was just taking a step back to let everybody cool their jets to figure out what was going on.
And-
So then the city council voted to oust us all, from the Caribou Hospital District Board, based on they claimed I had a conflict of interest, which I didn't. There were several other reasons why that vote was made the way it was. And if you want to dig into it, we can talk about it another time, and I'm happy to give you the background history. It's all at Rick Solomon's, and he's working on doing it. I spoke to him about it yesterday. So everybody was just stepping back and cooling their jets. I think at that point of the time is that they were claiming the legality of the whole thing. The hospital was claiming we couldn't do what we could, which was proven legally afterwards, that we weren't out of line afterwards. But by that point, they had told us, we don't want you anymore. See you later. And the
So
hospital
this-
district board was supposed to be disbanded.
So this happened before it even came to a vote on the Public Utilities Board?
Correct.
Yep.
And the people from the Public Utilities Board never said they weren't going to accept it. That was just an interpretation that was made by the reporter.
Correct. The previous board never voted, one way or the other.
And there was lots of things in that article that were incorrect.
But why wouldn't the previous board have voted? I don't know. I'm not trying to get anybody.
Oh, yeah, you are. So that's where I'm not gonna say anything. I don't trust you as far as I can throw you, Gary. I'm sorry.
All right.
The previous board voted to go along with the broadband project.
Yeah.
But once, I'm saying this to the three of you right there, you were against us the minute we came to day one on this new agenda for the year. Like I say, the former members agreed with everything, but we had no support from the three of you. I'm sorry, that's how I feel.
Well, I guess you say no support because I questioned a lot of the numbers in the thing, which is why I'm talking about the stuff I'm talking about now. I need something fairly concrete about how many people we're going to get that are going to switch over, we're going to switch over. I need to know where the money is coming from, because we certainly didn't have enough money. How much was the thing, 250,000, was it?
It was enough to do the
Okay.
first micro node or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
To get rolling. I think
Certainly not
regarding
enough to do
money-
the project.
And I think regarding the money, Gary, it's going to be difficult, and this is just the opinion of mine from based on what we've been told and what the whole cycle of this has gone through, and we've kind of come back full circle here, is that in order for you to get grant money, it's going to make it difficult to do, if you go back and say, we're just going to do the core section of Caribou, and we're just going to do a direct head-to-head competition against Spectrum and the other customer. I don't think the grant money's there for doing that. The grant money is out there, the free, we'll call it free money, but we know nothing's ever free. But the money that's out there that might be given to you to do this is because you are going to service the unserved or the underserved.
Yeah.
And that's why you didn't
Yeah,
get the
but
first
they're
grant.
talking about changing the grants. I don't know if they ever will, or they're just talking again, but, they are talking about trying to do something with grants for organizations such as the utilities district, if they want to get involved with this. Will that ever happen? Who knows? I don't know.
The way it's set up right now, you wouldn't get any funding for the core.
Not the way it is right now, no.
Right.
No.
So if that's the basis, I would think logic tells me, from looking in, from the outside looking in, that if that's what you're gonna push to say, look, we wanna compete head-to-head on only the core, then it defeats the conversation because there's no money out there
I
for
don't know
grants.
I don't know how it will be put, but that, in my mind, that's the place. From a business standpoint, if you're looking at a business standpoint and return on investment and everything else, that's all you can look at here. And that's why the rural area never ever got anything. And if it wouldn't have been for that grant program, I don't know if they would have ever got anything.
No.
I really doubt that myself. The only time they would have got anything is if the satellite deal kept improving, and then maybe, but no, I don't think the Spectrum would have ever gone out there if it wasn't for the grant. I'm glad they did, because I'm glad to see that those people are getting what they really require for internet, and whether it's cable or not, that's up to them too, I guess, but anyway, so this is a tough discussion, because not a lot of people want to talk about it, or how we can do it. And I guess if that's the case, and if he doesn't know whether he's got any time to do it or how much time, well,
I have plenty of time to put towards it. I dedicated a good portion of the previous 5 years of my life towards it. But I have no time moving forward if there's no support for it.
That's true.
So if we can all agree to that right now, there's no support for it,
Well,
then I don't have any time for it.
okay, okay.
Fair enough?
Yeah, fair enough.
Because I can tell you from a personal standpoint, that that man has put more personal time into putting that, try to put that deal together.
Yeah.
He's been very selfless about that.
Yeah.
And he hasn't been demanding, he's been to meetings and he's traveled and he's done a lot of things. So that's on a personal level, and I'll leave it at that. But I think that every one of you guys know anything you've ever been involved with that you had a passion for, you weren't punching the clock.
Well, I can tell you, and I'm sorry that's the way it is, but I'd say that right now, that the Utilities District Board has 2 members that are in favor of it, 2 members that aren't, and 1, which is me, who hasn't decided because he doesn't have the information he needs. And I guess if you got no time to put in it unless you got approval, you don't have approval right now. You know, if
Fair
we
enough.
spent some time on it and it looked like we could do it, I could go along with doing it, but based on not getting any information or doing any of that stuff, no.
Well, maybe you could convince these guys.
There's no point, unless you can provide something better for less money, why should we be trying to compete with the private sector?
I don't think you have to provide something better for less money. I mean, certainly it helps if it's less money. But I think there's a lot of people in Caribou that, if there's no extra cost to them, would probably consider supporting the local Caribou Utilities District.
I think you're 100% correct.
I agree.
Well,
I think you're not giving.
I don't know,
taxpayers
but that's what I
fair
think.
credit.
But I don't know that, because we haven't done a damn thing to find out
Well,
yet.
then vote to ask him to send a survey. You have the power to do that. Say, hey, would you send a survey out this month?
I'm not interested in sending a survey out if we got a manager who isn't interested in spending any time or trying to do anything on this, so.
Well, that's not what he said. He
No,
said that he wasn't willing
If
to
he had
spend time.
support of the
if
board, he
Right.
doesn't have support of the board today. Because I can't support something that I don't have the answers for. I don't do.
And now you're
business
telling him he can't go get the answers.
Right,
I
exactly.
mean, again, going back to, you can't have it both ways. I don't support you because you don't have answers, but you can't go get the answers.
Well, he said he doesn't want to spend any time on it.
If I'm not supported.
But if you support going and getting that information, then I'm sure he's more than happy to do it.
I support getting the information so I know what I want to do. That's what I support. And if we're not going to spend any time on doing that, then I don't, I'm not going to support it, no. I mean, that's straightforward.
So I will make a motion that we allow you to expend time to survey the residents of the,
At least our, like, our build customers.
Send it out.
Our build customers.
build
Everybody you
customers
send a bill to, I mean,
Yep.
those are the customers.
Cost you sheet
to
of paper.
determine support for a locally generated broadband utility.
But don't forget, there are people that don't send a check into the CUD every day or every month because they live out, that are still paying part of their taxes to the CUD. Rental on the hydrants comes out of property tax. Everybody in the city, whether they're serviced by CUD or not, pays for that service. And I don't have a problem with that because it protects the infrastructure of the town. But we don't have a say then in a lot of this
Gary's-
stuff.
But Gary's question was, he'd like to know how many people in the core area of the community which are being serviced by the existing provider, how many of those might opt to change if they were provided the opportunity. That survey for those core customers that get a water or sewer bill answers his direct question
Yeah.
in regards to those numbers of people.
I'm not interested in digging the broadband out in the rural area, David.
Well,
Because
that
it's
was
too
the-
much money.
No, but that was the whole gist behind,
Oh, I know that, and now that's been solved, so we don't have to do that anymore.
so this problem's been solved, so what are we solving now?
We're looking at the possibility of having a second broadband company in the city of Caribou.
I'd rather us do solar or wind, if we're gonna do that, and benefit the whole town.
There's another loser.
Anyway, did you finish your motion? Do you remember what it was?
In Mars Hill here in another.
I don't know if I did or not.
No, I don't think
really
you
would like to
did.
see, I really would like to see the motion, or the thing that we would send out, before we send it.
So this would be, try to make it very simple and concise.
Yeah. And it'd have to be a prepaid postcard or something that they can send back without costing them any money, because, you know. How many bills do we send out?
1,800. Yeah, I mean, it would give us a sample response, and would give you an idea. I just, don't know why we would want to compete head-to-head with two incumbents.
Well, then let's forget about the project. If that's the case.
Well, the survey that was done we paid $150,000 for, wouldn't that have collected all that data?
That wasn't a survey, that was that was the project design. So Pioneer was paid to design the entire telecom project for the city.
But part of that wasn't for them to determine how many people we would get that would switch over, I don't think. It was just what it cost to put the system in, so.
Think of it this way, it's like they designed an apartment building, but there's no information on who's gonna move in, right? It's just
Yeah,
the design of a
I
building.
got that.
Okay.
All right, well, can we put a question together? And then
Was there a second to the motion?
maybe, Sue, even if you just emailed it around to all of us.
Well, I think Jay had I don't know if you finished your motion.
I don't
know
think
you
he did.
started it.
He started,
Trying to remember where I was going, so.
that we send a survey.
Send a
with
survey
our-
to those, the billable ratepayers of Caribou Utilities District.
And I'll second that. All those in favor? Opposed?
All right, well, there you go. There's your answer.
All right.
I oppose that because we're changing the scope of the original plan, and I've been a firm believer since the inception of the whole thought process is that we need to get the unserved and underserved. We have what we need here, okay? So that's my biggest gripe right there.
Good.
And I don't think it's fair today to be doing that to the people that are non-served or underserved. Thank you.
Yep.
All right, anything else?
I have just one thing. I had sent an email out about the meeting that's going to be at Lakeview on Monday night, that's put on by Maine Rural Water. And I heard from a couple of my trustees, but Dave, I never heard from Gary or Davis if you would want to attend that, because you do have to RSVP.
I'm trying to change something right now that I can, but I don't know if that's possible, so.
What would you like to change?
I have an appointment on Monday that
On the 19th? That's fine. I mean, I'm not saying you
I should
have to
know.
go, I would just like to know.
I might know tomorrow, even if it's
Yeah.
my kids.
No, that's fine.
Like I said, I think the agenda, the one Dave and I attended, looked to me like almost the same
And
agenda.
I checked with Kirsten at Maine Rural Water, and she said that it was very similar,
Yeah.
but in
Yeah.
this
Sounded
new
like
one,
that.
there were a lot of different things that they would be bringing up that would be new, the one on the 19th.
All right, anything else? Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Gary and Dave, I'm sorry, I have to have some documents.
All those in favor? Meeting's adjourned.
Thank you.
Sucks getting old.
Everything gets stiff.
Is there anything, is this for you to sign or me?
No, both of you, yes, because Gary is president and you're the treasurer. You're off the hook this time.
Oh, shoot.
Okay, let's do the easy one first. Because you've already signed to extend it to
Right.
May 30th. This is for
It's
the
like-
year.
I don't
And
know,
Gary,
it's
you
very
have to
cheap to
sign.
put them
I've
in
got all my
bags.
sticky
That's
notes.
what I'm saying, like, it's,
Bye, Phil.
let me turn the, let me get this.
Oh, I'm sorry. And I'll let you start on this one, Dave. I have it marked wherever those little pink slips are. Yours on the bottom there.
I got a pen that ain't working.
Oh, I might have another one.